Hello, welcome to another INFJ ramble. Today I'm going to make a video on sensitivity and love. I know there's are two different topics kind of crammed into one, but those particular topics were on my mind and I was inspired to make a video on them. So, if you have a similar disposition to me, I've made videos on especially sensitivity many times over, and I think a lot of us struggle with sensitivity, especially if you're hypersensitive. I actually made some breakthroughs recently, and it's been pretty profound. So I want to say for the past, I want to say 2 years, 2 or 3 years. I mean, obviously I have good days, better days, and then I just have like a lot of neutral days and some occasional bouts of like heaviness. But I think it took me 2 years to basically purge a lot of like repressed emotions that I was unconsciously holding on to. But I was able to do that, and I want to say like past 2 or 3 weeks have been pretty profound for me. And I just kind of wanted to talk on it. So if you are hypersensitive, I know it can feel like life's curse. I've made videos on that. I've also made videos on how if you reframe the way you see your gift, your curse, it can be a gift. So it's all about reframing the mind, reframing it to not necessarily distort the reality of things, but maybe just kind of like changing the lens in which you're viewing life through. So it's really interesting. I'm still hypersensitive, but the biggest difference here is I've kind of been proactively retraining myself to be unbothered. Does that make sense? So if you think about sensitivity and hypersensitivity, I think a lot of people struggle with it because it just kind of like you have like a hypersensitive nervous system. So loud noises rattle your nerves. Maybe some types of personalities or spaces that you reside in might also trigger your nervous system to overreact. And then, of course, when you're in that particular state, it's kind of hard to stay calm, because we are more apt to react, and react meaning like, oh God, everything, leave me alone, I need to get out of here, all this kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, like I still will base my choices off of, positioning myself in places or with people that are less abrasive to my nervous system. But I can also be in the presence of abrasive personalities or situations, and I've trained myself to be unbothered. See, the thing is, I feel like a lot of times because we can feel the energy around us, we almost perceive it as an attack, and that's why we're always like trying to like defend ourselves or like put on our armor or avoidance or isolation. And none of these things are bad. I mean, they're obviously essential at particular times in life, especially when your pain threshold has over exceeded its limits. You do have to isolate sometimes to like self contemplate, or maybe just kind of to like find your balance point after being exposed to so many other things that are coming at you. Anyways, I'm rambling as I usually do, but anyways, my whole thing is the key to navigating life while being hypersensitive is to retrain the brain to be unbothered. Unbothered. I'm not saying numb yourself. I'm not saying stop caring. But there's a lot of things that happen in life that really don't need a reaction. It really doesn't. And, you know, life feels prickly at times, but it's a game changer when you recognize that it's prickly, but you don't try to stop it or change it or react by, like losing your shit or complaining or having a breakdown. It's like you recognize, okay, I feel life's prickles, and I'm aware of it. I'm not gonna run, I'm not gonna hide, I'm not gonna block. I'm just kind of gonna be unbothered by it. Like I am aware it's there, and I accept that it's there. And it may not make me feel comfortable, but I'm not gonna waste energy on trying to make it into something it's not. You get what I'm saying? That takes a lot of energy, a lot of mental, emotional energy to try to change your life to fit your mold that makes you comfortable. Think about it. It takes a lot of energy. It's a lot of effort. A lot of times life happens and you can't really change it. It's just kind of doing its thing. And the problem and the responsibility lies within you. It's like, okay, this is making me feel very uncomfortable. Yes, I have the option and the choice to remove myself. Yes, I have the option and choice to avoid these things. Or yes, I'm gonna approach these things head on and stay with it and be unbothered. There's a lot of power that comes with being unbothered. And like I said, it's not not caring, because you obviously recognize whatever thing or person or energy that's in your presence, but you're just not letting it affect you. You get what I'm saying? So it loses its power over you, and you empower yourself. The other thing I was going to talk about was love. That word gets thrown around so often, and there's so many ways to define love, but I think I've come to the ultimate conclusion that love is not a feeling. It's a state of consciousness. And what state of consciousness am I talking about? I'm talking about your ability to understand. So I feel like love, or my definition of love, my ultimate definition of love, is understanding. So, for instance, I don't know, people throw the word around to mean many things, but I just feel like it's a diluted description of what they think it is. But yeah, understanding. So I've made some breakthroughs, I've had some insights. So I was thinking, for most of my life, I've tolerated so much stuff. That was probably abusive, mentally, emotionally abusive. I've tolerated so much. And I remember after decades of not really expressing my sadness about tolerating abuse or unacceptable behavior, I became very bitter and resentful. And it's funny, I made a breakthrough. I actually broke through that. I think that's why for the past 3 weeks it's just been very clear to me, and I've been very peaceful, and nothing really bothers me because I've been practicing the art of being unbothered. But Yeah, so the line that ran through my head was, I shouldn't have to tolerate anything. I just need to understand everything. And, to some degree, I feel like that's second nature to us, but it's still like, it still can be enhanced, if that even makes sense. I feel like you've made major breakthroughs when people do things that are offensive, but it doesn't trigger you. Like somebody does something offensive or something that's not necessarily um, respectful or considerate, and you're still unbothered by it because you understand. You're not tolerating it, but you understand why this person is doing it. And that's where love comes in, right? Your ability to understand is your ability to love. So it's like, for me, it's like I almost want to eradicate tolerance from my dialogue, and I just want to focus on understanding people, understanding things, understanding myself, coming from a place of understanding. So anytime I am triggered, I automatically go into trying to understand. Like it's really interesting. So if you really think about it, say someone does something to you, it triggers you, and you immediately feel irritation or anger. Recognize that, okay, right now I'm feeling irritation and anger. I'm obviously being triggered by this person or this situation. Instead of like using your energy, your mental energy and your emotional energy to complain or worry or criticize, shift into a state of understanding. Ask questions. So, for instance, say, I don't know, this is like off the top of my head, it's probably going to be really silly, but say you go out of your way to help someone open a door. Like, I don't know, I do that all the time. Like, if I see somebody and, I don't know, I'll just automatically run and open the doors. But whatever, I just feel like that's, out of consideration and respect. Um, I've had many times over where people just kind of walk through and they don't even acknowledge your presence, and they don't even say thank you. They don't even smile. They just it's almost like a sense of entitlement, I feel, and that would really tick me off, honestly. I'm sure it ticks a lot of people off, if you go out of your way to do something for someone and then they just kind of like don't even acknowledge you, don't even say thank you or smile. I mean, I don't know. That used to really trigger me, but now not so much. So, like I said, when you feel triggered, instead of going, oh wow, like thank you, you're welcome, or whatever you do, complain or gripe or get angry or irritated, catch yourself and go, I wonder why I allow that person or these circumstances to trigger me. Because a lot of times it's not the other person, it's you. You're generating the irritation, you're generating the frustration, you're generating the angst and anger and anxiety because of your expectations. Your expectations are not lining up with reality, and so that's what triggers you. And then once you start asking questions like, in order to understand, like you'll get answers, like, oh, I wonder why I'm being triggered right now. Oh, okay. I feel like my gesture wasn't appreciated. I wonder why, like that triggers me. Like, oh, it's because I have expectations. I expect somebody to return my kindness with kindness. And then I wonder why my kindness wasn't returned. Maybe the person's having a bad day. Maybe the person was in a rush. Maybe that person is just unhappy. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, So basically, you start, instead of like using the energy to react, you start using the energy to reframe your mind into understanding. And that's where love comes in. I think trying to understand someone versus criticize them, or allowing yourself to get triggered and angry, is the highest form of love. I mean, we're talking about compassion here, right? Everybody throws these words around, but they're not really, like, you understand the concept of the word to a degree, but you're not necessarily understanding them, and you're not necessarily putting them into practice. So, we can say, like, oh, I'm such a compassionate person, but are you, or are you just aware of the definition, or you know um the expectation or societal expectations of how you should be? you know yeah, there's a big difference, like reading something versus applying it. Big difference. It's like, if you acquire knowledge or wisdom on a particular topic, and it just stays in your head, and you don't proactively practice it in your life, it's just information. It's like you need to proactively pull that information from you and apply it to life. I don't know if I'm making sense. I didn't even realize I was talking for over 16 minutes. Anyways, if you learned something from this video, great. If you didn't, that's great too. But yeah, I think and feel, that reframing the mind to recognize that you're sensitive, you have a hyperactive nervous system, life feels prickly, um, but not, but being unbothered by it all because you acknowledge it all, is a keystone to living a more peaceful life as a empath or highly sensitive person. And also reframing the lens in which you view things through understanding slash love versus reaction. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Amen.